welcome to this deep dive. You shared a really interesting piece with us recently, focusing on sleep challenges, specifically for women, maybe around their 50s.
That's right. It touched on some very common experiences, things we hear about quite often.
Yeah. So our mission today is really to get into that source you provided. We want to understand why sleep might shift around this time, according to the text, and explore a natural solution it brings up.
Exactly. We're taking that information you sent and trying to pull out the key insights, what's really going on, and, why does it matter?
Okay, so starting point. The source really flags hormonal changes. That seems to be a big reason sleep gets harder for women in their 50s, according to this text.
Yes, the source draws a pretty direct line. It connects those hormonal shifts, perimenopause, menopause, with a higher chance of having insomnia.
And it singles out estrogen levels dropping.
That's identified as a primary factor, yes. The decrease in estrogen seems to be key here.
Right, and the text explains that this drop, it messes with melatonin somehow. For anyone listening who isn't quite sure, what's melatonin's job with sleep?
Melatonin is, well, it's super critical. It's basically the body's cue that it's nighttime, time to sleep. It regulates our whole sleep-wake cycle.
Okay,
And the source points out that when estrogen dips, it can disrupt how melatonin is produced and managed by the body. So it gets harder to fall asleep and maybe harder to stay asleep, too.
that makes a lot of sense. And there was a statistic in there, too, wasn't there? Something about women in their 50s.
Uh-huh. It's stated that women in their 50s have about a 1.5 times higher rate of insomnia compared to men.
Wow, 1.5 times. That really hits home how, significant this can be.
It does. And the text is clear. This isn't just feeling a bit tired. This kind of sleep disruption can seriously impact your overall quality of life.
How so?
Well, think about energy levels day to day, your mood, even things like focus and memory. The source suggests it's like a knock-on effect. Poor sleep affects other parts of your health.
Right, a domino effect. Okay, so we've established the problem. Sleep can get tricky for women in their 50s, largely thanks to these hormonal changes. But the source you sent also talks about a natural approach. Let's talk about, what is that?
Yes, it's also called Poria Cocos. The text presents it as a traditional herbal remedy. It comes from Korean medicine mostly,
Oh, wait.
and it's known traditionally for calming the nervous system and helping with sleep. The source suggests it could be a really helpful option for women dealing with these specific sleep issues.
Interesting. So how does it actually work for sleep, according to this source? What does it do in the body?
Well, the source highlights a few things. First, its nerve stabilizing effect. It says it can help ease anxiety, stress,
Right.
kind of by reducing tension in the brain.
Okay, calming things down.
Exactly. Second, it talks about improving sleep itself. It suggests indirectly it helps your body make its own melatonin.
Ah, so it's not giving you melatonin, but helping your body regulate it better.
That's the idea presented, yes, leading to potentially deeper, more restorative sleep.
What else? Any other benefits mentioned?
It also touches on digestion. Apparently, it might help if digestive issues are part of what's keeping you awake.
Oh, interesting link.
And finally, a possible boost to immunity. The thinking seems to be that by supporting overall health, it creates a better foundation for good sleep.
And a really key point from the source, it's caffeine-free. That seems important, especially for this demographic.
Absolutely crucial. The text really emphasizes that. Being caffeine-free makes it gentler, more suitable for women in their 50s whose systems might be a bit more sensitive.
Okay, now the source doesn't just talk about theoretically, it actually gives a recipe, right? For a sleep tea.
It does, yeah, a practical way to try it.
So let's get practical. What ingredients do you need for this IT?
It's pretty simple, actually. You need 10 grams of dried oil. Then 3 to 5 dried jujubes, the source says, make sure they're pitted.
Jujubes, like the dates.
Sort of, yeah, often called red dates. Then maybe a teaspoon of honey, but that's optional, and 500 milliliters of water.
Got it. 10 grandma, 3D5 pitted jujubes, optional honey, 500 milliliter water. And how do you make it?
Also straightforward. First, just give the oil and jujubes a quick rinse.
Okay.
Then boil the water in a pot, add the rinsed herbs, turn down the heat and let it simmer for, say, 20 to 30 minutes.
Simmering. Okay. To get the good stuff out.
Exactly, to extract the compounds. Then you just strain it into a cup, stir in the honey if you're using it.
And when should you drink it?
The source recommends drinking it warm, maybe 1 to 2 hours before you plan to sleep.
Makes sense. And there was a little extra tip in there, too, about the other ingredients. the jujubes and honey.
Yeah, the text adds that jujubes themselves have some nerve-calming properties, so they complement the ore.
Nice synergy.
And it mentions honey contains tryptophan. That's an amino acid involved in making serotonin and melatonin, both important for sleep regulation.
Okay, so this tea sounds like a potentially helpful and pretty simple thing to add to your evening. But the source is also careful to say it's not just about the tea, right? Lifestyle matters too.
Oh, absolutely. The source really stresses this. The AUT can be a tool, but it works best alongside good, solid sleep habits.
And what kind of habits does the source recommend? What are the key lifestyle tweaks?
It lists several. Number one, a regular sleep schedule, trying to stick to similar bedtimes and wake-up times, even on weekends if possible.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Always key for sleep.
Definitely. It also advises avoiding caffeine after 2 p.m., so watching the coffee, black tea, that kind of thing, in the afternoon and evening.
Good reminder. What else?
Getting some morning sunlight. The source suggests even just a 30-minute walk outside. This helps set your body clock and boost melatonin later on.
Sunlight in the morning. Interesting.
And finally, incorporating some relaxation before bed, like 10 minutes of meditation or maybe some gentle stretching, just to help release tension.
Wind down the mind and body.
Exactly. Prepare yourself for sleep.
Okay, so bringing it all together from this deep dive, it seems clear that sleep disruption for women in their